Welcome to the old Gunbarrel. G'day and welcome to another Mongrel Dog production. And welcome to my cave, but more on the cave later. On this trip I plan to follow the Trans-Australian Railway line from Kalgoorlie in Western Australia through to Forest near the WA South Australia border, drop down to the border village and attend the 38th annual border run, rejoin the railway line, once again heading east till I get to Kingunya. After that it becomes a little bit fuzzy. I'm not sure whether I'm going to turn left or right. Anyway, grab your gear, let's go. Well, we've only been on the road for a couple of hours, left Perth this morning. And Jamie ended up puncturing the rear tyre, so we've had to pull over for an hour just to repair the flat. Well, we're here at Rawlinna. We arrived at last light last night. We stayed in that big shed that you can see behind me. We were on the Trans-Australian Railway line access road for most of yesterday. The road was in good shape, although it was a bit damp in places. It's about 400 kilometres east of Kalgoorlie, that's where we are at the moment. And today we're going to be following the railway line again from here to Forest, which is only 265 kilometres away, but because of the track conditions it deteriorates quite quickly. It could take us most of the day to get there. Well, we've arrived at Forest. It was hard going today. It took us about 5 hours to do 200 kilometres. The track was fairly windy, a bit slippery in places and quite rocky, so you had to pick your line for the whole journey. Forest is a busy place. There's only 2 people that live here permanently, the manager and his wife, but it's quite an active area. There's the rail line, of course, and there's a fairly major airfield here where transients stop overnight for refuelling and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a busy place. We're actually staying in the Met building, which is the building behind me. It's got its own museum there of Forest. So we paid $20. We got access to a kitchen and showers, so we'll utilise that and head for Border Village tomorrow. It's Friday night in Forest, and this is the night that the Indian Pacific comes through. Jamie's got to hand up the mailbag. Oh, and some homemade fruitcake, I believe.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Same hammy. Oh, hey. Oh, mate. You feel it going, but there's nothing you can do about it. Put on the bag, mate. Hope you haven't been drinking. Not yet. Ask me what sort of a day I've had, mate.
Probably a thrilling one.
It's been pretty lousy.
I'll get you to stop that. One fresh.
Well,
And stop. Perfect.
where are you guys? Where are you?
Yeah.
Well, yesterday has got to rate as one of the worst days I've ever had in a motorcycle. We left Forest at about 8 o'clock in the morning. It rained even before we left. But we wanted to get here to Border Village, the WA and South Australia border. We wanted to make it here before last light yesterday, so we did that, but the track was treacherous. Within 300 or 400 metres of actually getting on the unsealed stuff, I come off twice. Did some damage to a hamstring. I'm taking today off just to consolidate, have a bit of rest. But yesterday the conditions were absolutely woeful. It's not something I'd want to repeat in a hurry. From here I was supposed to go back to the railway line and then continue heading east, but I might look at my options, maybe take the old air highway heading east from here. Well, my intention after Border Village was to continue back along the railway line. That track's going to take some days to dry out, so I've chosen to take the old air highway, which was last maintained in about 1976 when the new road was sealed. So far the conditions have been okay. Still a bit damp out here, and there's a rainstorm ahead of me, so I thought I'd pull over and put on the wet gear. Well, I'm still on the old air highway. I'm about 100 kilometres east of Border Village. This homestead is marked on the map. I thought it was just a homestead. It must have been a fuel stop as well. And there's also a junkyard here with some fine old relics in there. Well, I'm currently still on the old air highway. I'm about 40 kilometres east of the existing or the current Nullarbor Roadhouse. This must have been another spot on the map for travellers to, I don't know, refuel and the like. There's an old car graveyard around here as well. I'll have a look at the map later on and find out what this place was or is. I don't know how long he's been down there. I don't know how long he's got to go before he dies. If I can, I'll lean up one of those drums in the hope that he can jump out. I just hope he doesn't bite me in the meantime. Up that way, stupid. There's one already dead in the 44 young drum. Well, it's late afternoon. I'm currently at the Cole Miracle Falls in the Gawler Ranges National Park. Well, currently in Port Augusta, experienced engine trouble in the Gawler Ranges. Almost got stranded there. I was able to make the 300 kilometres to Port Augusta, and although we thought the problem was fuel initially, works out it may have been an electrical fault. I'm back on the road now, I think. I'm glad I'm not bush camping tonight. It's risk of hail and 120 km/h winds. I'll leave tomorrow and keep heading north. Well, no stay at Cooper Pedy would be complete without being underground, so let's take a tour. This is obviously an old mine, I guess, being converted into underground campsites, and it looks like he's also got accommodation here as well, I'm guessing, by all the doors down there. Can't see it very well, but my tent's in there. And every now and again you'll come across either a ventilation shaft or a skylight. I guess it's one of those. But, yeah, certainly a unique experience. Suggested to me by another adventure rider. Well, I'm a bit anxious. I'm going to take this road through a couple of closed communities. It's hopefully going to bring me out at the Surveyor General's Corner, which is the boundary of South Australia, Northern Territory and WA. You need a permit to travel the road. I've got a couple of permits. The problem is they're not the right ones, but a bloke once told me that it's a lot better to ask for forgiveness than beg for permission. So I'll run the gauntlet and see how I go. I've got more than enough fuel. I've got a range of about 900 kilometres with what I've got on board, but what I don't want to have to do, of course, is pull up into the communities for assistance or fuel, so I'll see how I go. Well, I've only been on this road for a couple of hours, and it was suggested to me to take this road by a couple of other travellers that I've met over the last couple of weeks, because they reckon that the landscape and the scenery wasn't bad, and I've got to admit I'm not disappointed so far. But have a look at the size of this mob of camels. It's got to be the largest mob I've ever come across out in the Outback.
Sadness, you've been so strong. Love won't fix it all. Gonna get your feet back on the ground.
Well, I'm currently at Surveyor General's Corner, which is the border intersections of Northern Territory, Western Australia and South Australia. That's it behind me there. The unusual thing about Surveyor General's Corner is there's another one about 100 metres up the road here, and I'll show you that shortly. Apparently when it was first surveyed, somebody made an error, and when it was resurveyed, that much was the distance between the two surveys. Well, there's the plinth and the shelter where we were just a few minutes ago, and over here is the second plinth with what I believe was the original Surveyor General's Corner tablet on top of it, which has been removed over the last few years. Well, I'm at the beginning of the abandoned section of the old Gunbarrel Highway, and as you can see the sign says road closed, unsafe from this point. So there's reason enough to go and have a look, isn't it?
You got so broken. So badly broken, but your eyes still shine. Yes, you got so broken, so badly broken, but your eyes still shine.
Welcome to the old Gunbarrel. Yeah, well, there's a lot more sand and dunes than I expected. The OPC rally was through here earlier this year, and they gave it a 7 out of 10 on their difficulty scale. I'm not sure whether that's a fair assessment. This is going to take me a little bit longer than I thought. Well, I'm still on the old abandoned Gunbarrel Highway, only this time I've turned around. I'm actually heading back to Warracoona. I've got 120 kilometres in. I had 240 to go, and I don't know, I just got a real bad feeling about it. So rather than become a headline, I've decided to take the smart option and go back to Warracoona. I'll just head down the Great Central Road. I stopped to refuel at Chukarelia on the Great Central Road, and just before I was was to go off, I checked the tyres, which is something I ordinarily do anyway. I just do that out of habit. Anyway, noticed the back tyre was a bit soft. So I thought I'd check in for the night rather than try and do it on the side of the road. Well, that's not how I expected this adventure to end. I've done a rear tyre. I've had 3 attempts to repair it and I can't. But, I'm now waiting for the bike to be recovered back to Kalgoorlie so I can continue on from there. But the highlight for this trip would have to be that road through the APY lands in South Australia. It's got to be one of Australia's best kept secrets, that road. Great road, stunning landscape. The low light, of course, was the track conditions from forest down to the border. I don't want to relive that in a hurry. Well, there's the bike very unceremoniously being loaded on the back of the tilt tray. I think in hindsight it was probably a poor selection of tyre for this trip. The tyre was recommended me by the local bike shop because it had a thicker sidewall and was supposed to provide added puncture protection. But in this case, the sidewall and the bead were just so tough and so hard to try and get on and off the rim that it made repairing that puncture impossible out here anyway. I'm also left wondering whether that Dingo made it out alive or not.